and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light."
I næsten hvert eneste klasseværelse i verden lærer unge mennesker om det store mysterium, og næsten overalt er historien den samme. Læreren siger, langsomt, i løbet af millioner af år blev alt til ved tilfældigheder. Tid og tilfældigheder fik det til at ske. Men der er nogle skoler, som også underviser i en anden historie. De betragter verdens skabelse udført af et intelligent, udenforstående væsen, de kalder Gud, som en videnskabelig mulighed. I disse programmer skal du møde en fremstående britisk videnskabsmand, professor Arthur Wilder-Smith, en af de få videnskabsmænd i verden, som har 3 doktorgrader. Han har skrevet over 60 bøger og videnskabelige artikler, både i skabelses-udviklingsdebatten og på sit eget videnskabelige område, biokemi. Professor Wilder-Smith bor og arbejder for tiden i Schweiz. Lad os på ny se på verden omkring os. Sammen med professor Wilder-Smith og andre højt kvalificerede videnskabsmænd skal vi undersøge fakta i naturen.
Now there are 2 main models which are used to explain the origin of the cosmos, of the solar system, of the elements, and of biology right up to man. The first model which is used is known as the creation model, and teaches that the elements and man and all biology were made by the concept of God, and that he did it in quite a short time, and it means that the Earth is relatively young. That's the creation model. The second model is known as the evolutionary model, and assumes that the elements, cosmos, biology and man developed over millions and millions of years, slowly, spontaneously, by chance, and that this evolutionary principle is the principle behind the elements and biology in toto. Now that's known as the evolutionary model. Now we're going in this series of films to look into these 2 models and see which model the evidence fits best.
Uret tikker og går. Langsomt forvandler tandhjulene fremtid til fortid. Er det tiden, som har lavet urværket? Har tandhjulene lavet urværket? Hvem har lavet urværket? Undrer du dig ikke engang imellem over dig selv? Hør her. Med dine øjne kan du se denne film. Du ser disse mennesker bevæge sig. Med dine ører hører du det, jeg har at sige. Lysbølgerne og lydbølgerne når frem til din hjerne gennem nervesystemet. Utroligt, ikke sandt? Du lever. Din krop bevæger sig. Du kan bevæge dine fødder, dine hænder og dine læber. Du kan tale, og jeg kan forstå dig. Er du ikke et underværk? Lad os gå dybere ind under din hud, til den enkleste del af kroppen, den levende celle. Se på denne model. Der er cellekernen, den vigtigste del. Vi skal høre mere om den senere i programmet. Alle levende væsener er opbygget af levende celler. Se på denne and og dens ællinger. Kan du se, de bevæger sig og svømmer rundt og leder efter mad. De lever. Ingen fjender i sigte, andemor. Nå, det ved hun nok bedst selv. Disse blomster er også levende, ligesom de fantastiske sommerfugle. Alle sammen er bygget op af levende celler, præcis som du og jeg. Se, her deler en celle sig i 2 nye celler. Utroligt, ikke sandt? Specielt når man tænker på, at cellen er bygget op af døde molekyler og døde atomer. Hvad er det, som får dem til at leve? Hvad er liv egentlig?
What is life? Life rides upon matter, and matter has to be highly organized to carry life. But there's a minimum of chemical organization which is necessary to bear life. The materialists say that life, since it's made up of atoms and molecules and chemical reactions, that life is just simply chemistry and nothing else. Now, we shall have to look into that question very carefully, because life certainly runs on chemistry and chemical reactions. But can we say, just because that is a fact, that life is therefore nothing more than chemistry, and since chemistry takes place by chance, that life could have originated at the start by chance chemical reactions?
Her er hjertet i livets mysterium. Den levende celle. Ved deling efter deling byggede de og byggede og byggede. Og lidt efter lidt formede de dig. Omsluttet af din mors krop fik du gradvist dine tæer, dine fødder, ben og fingre, næse og mund. Og endelig blev du født. Væk fra det varme, trygge rum i din mor og ud i den støjende verden. Der er du. Jeg kan godt forstå, at du skreg højt, og nu kan du vel også forstå det. Men er det ikke et mirakel? Der er du. Utrolig kompliceret. Teknisk præcis. Et underfuldt, levende voksende maskineri. Men hvordan kan de så sige, at liv bare er noget, som har med død kemi at gøre?
Now, if life consists merely of chemistry and nothing but chemistry, the best way to understand its real potentialities is to look at some of the chemical substances of life, and then we shall see that it isn't merely a matter of chemistry. Now, the most important, perhaps the most important chemical substance in the cell is the DNA molecule. The DNA molecule is a very long chemical molecule, and it contains all the information which makes life what it is. The DNA molecule determines the color of your skin. It determines whether you're a crocodile or a cauliflower. It determines whether you're amoeba or an ape. It determines the species, and it determines the properties of the species in which you find yourself, whatever that may be. Now, how does it do it? It has sufficient information on it in the human being to fill with information 1,000 books, each with 500 pages of smallest print, full of chemical information, how to make you and how to maintain you. Now, look, this is rather complicated, so let's take something rather more simple to explain just how the DNA molecule does work. You all know the Morse code. Now, the Morse code is capable with 2 letters, a dot and a dash, plus the interval between the two, capable of writing down all the information in the Bible or any other book, if you know the Morse code. Now, if you take, say, a simple message in the Morse code, such as SOS. Now, SOS in the Morse code consists of dot, 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 dash, 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 and dot, dot, dot. And there you have the whole message of a person who's in distress. Now, the genetic code, the chromosomes and the DNA molecule, use exactly the same method in principle of storing information on this basis. Here I have a rope, and on this rope I've got here dot, 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 dash, 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 and dot, dot, dot. And I hold it up in front of you. Convention of the Morse code will say, aha, he's trying to tell me that he's in distress. SOS, dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot. Now, I could use any other sequence I like, and I could use lots more of rope to put in sequences to describe, say, the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, and you could all write it all up on just the basis of using a rope like this. Now, the DNA molecule consists not of one single rope like this, which I've got here in front of me, but it consists of 2 ropes. And the 2 ropes run parallel in a spiral form. And fixed between the 2 ropes are 4 letters, the 4 letters of the genetic code. And those 4 letters of the genetic code are simple chemical substances. You've got then a very long genetic molecule of DNA, all doubled and held together in the middle by hydrogen bonds, which are very weak chemical bonds. And when a cell divides, it simply opens up like a zip fastener, and one half goes into one cell, one half goes into the other. Now that's a wonderful mechanism to look at, because it means that you can replicate the information of 1,000 books with each 500 pages of closely printed information on a system like this in about 20 minutes. You think of typing out the information of 1,000 books, each 500 pages in 20 minutes, without many mistakes. The second most important thing about this writing up of the book of life in the cell is this, that the molecule is capable of reading itself. Now, when we write a book, we have to get somebody to read it, but not so the cell. The cell makes, in the first place, what are known as ribosomes. And these ribosomes are complicated proteins, and they mount this double helix, which we call the DNA molecule. They mount it. And as they mount these double helices, they feel the information. We can read this with our eyes, and we can feel it with our fingers. So we have two methods of reading this book in our way of doing things. But in the cell, the ribosome mounts onto the double structure, and as it feels where the bases are, it spits out, as it were, the proteins which are written up in chemical language, and so makes you. Now, the information which this DNA molecule contains is, believe me, not written on those molecules which make up the strand. The cell containing such a piece of chemistry like this was not made by the pure chemistry of the molecules of which it's made. Therefore, I believe that there is an author which transcends the material, the matter of which these strands are made, which first of all conceived the information necessary to make a cell, then wrote it down, and then fixed in it a mechanism of reading it and realizing it in practice, so that the cell builds itself from the information which the author of that information put on there at the creation. And so I am, as a scientist, convinced that the pure chemistry of a cell is not enough to explain the workings of a cell, although the workings are chemical. The chemical workings of the cell are controlled by the information which does not reside in the atoms and molecules of that cell.
Vi lever i et intelligent univers, siger den kendte videnskabsmand Sir Fred Hoyle. Bibelen forklarer det sådan. I begyndelsen skabte Gud. Han skabte stof fra ingenting, og så gav han det stof mange forskellige former. Levende celler, små levende væsener med en celle eller flere, insekter som disse myrer, altid i gang med deres arbejde. Og selvfølgelig fuglene, som denne lille måge i sin rede. Og hver gang Gud skabte, siger Bibelen, at Gud så på det, han havde gjort, og så, at det var såre godt. Men uheldigvis varede det ikke længe. De skabte løver æder andre skabte dyr, selvom de er søde som små. De æder for eksempel disse Thomson-gazeller, som desuden slås indbyrdes. Nej, alt er ikke længere godt, selvom vi fortsat kan se skønheden i den oprindelige skabelse. men det er en anden historie. Bibelen fortæller altså, at en udenforstående intelligens skabte stoffet og skabte livet. Hvordan forklarer materialistiske tænkere som evolutionisterne livets oprindelse?
Evolutionists think that life arose spontaneously in a primeval soup. They believe that the atmosphere of the Earth at the time life arose was a reducing atmosphere, and that it consisted of ammonia and water vapor and methane. Now, if lightning is passed through a mixture of this sort, it was thought that the basic building blocks of life would arise spontaneously. Miller and Fox, in a series of experiments they carried out in Chicago some 20 or so years ago, tried to repeat this and prove it experimentally. So they took a mixture of methane, ammonia and water vapor and passed an electric current through it and did obtain a number of amino acids, which are the building blocks of life, and a few bases. Now, these bases and the amino acids were thought then to show that life, or the precursors of life, would arise spontaneously under such conditions. And therefore they proclaimed, and the scientific world still believes it today, that they produced experimentally the first steps in the spontaneous production of life. Now, is this the case? Well, there's no doubt about it that they produced the amino acids spontaneously in the bases. But are those bases and the amino acids they produce the ones which could be used for life? The answer is emphatically no, because life needs amino acids which are of the left-handed sort exclusively, and not of the right-handed sort to produce the proteins of life. The similar considerations apply for the production of the DNA molecule, which must have exclusively right-handed molecules. Now, life can't use mixtures because the stereochemistry isn't right. So it's emphatically the case that because they did produce racemic mixtures, that life could not arise spontaneously in a primeval soup of this kind. The stereochemistry is wrong.
Selvom Millers eksperiment i begyndelsen så ud til at give et vigtigt bidrag til teorien om livets spontane oprindelse, viser nøjagtige undersøgelser, at det kun gjorde sagen mere kompliceret. Nej, kernen i selve problemet, oprindelsen til den information, som er lagret her, er stadig et mysterium. I Millers eksperiment bliver der dannet en blanding af venstre og højre aminosyre. Når vi har en blanding af disse to, dannes der, efter hvad vi ved, ikke liv i det hele taget. Selvom vi havde liv i en lang kæde af venstre aminosyre, og så tilføjede en eneste højre aminosyre, ville den ødelægge alt det, som var dannet. Bibelen fortæller os, at det er nok at se på naturen for at komme til den konklusion, at der findes en Gud. Så prøv at se og tænk. Og livet er stadig det mysterium, som det altid har været. Men det er der, smukt og mangfoldigt. Gud sagde, jorden frembringe levende væsener efter deres arter, kvæg, kryb og vildt levende dyr efter deres arter. Og sådan blev det. Gud skabte alle de vilde dyr, alle arter kvæg og alt krybet på marken, og Gud så det var godt. Gud så på alt det, han havde skabt, og se, det var såre godt. Uret tikker og går. Tandhjulene bevæger sig, ligesom de kemiske substanser, som bærer livet. Langsomt forvandler de fremtid til fortid. Hvem lavede urværket? Måske er den eneste logiske forklaring, at det var en uden for urværket.
Now, you will remember at the beginning of our program we looked at a model of the DNA molecule and found out that it had to be ordered in a way like a book is, to store the information and give it again so that life can be built. Now, this information is not resident as such in raw inorganic matter. So we believe, and we have scientific grounds, as you've seen, for believing that there must have been an injection of information onto matter in order to produce a structure full of information like this. That is an act of creation in instructing matter how to build a cell. Therefore, the man who believes in creation is in no wise disturbed if a biochemist goes into his lab and takes the smallest particles of the earth, the dust of the earth, the chemicals of the earth, and with his spirit he organizes them up to life and makes a virus, or makes, perhaps in the course of time, a primitive cell. He has injected intelligence onto matter in order to do it. Now, when you look at the beauty of nature round about us, here's a clover flower, when you consider that that all grew out of matter injected with information of the type I've been describing, you can only be filled with wonder at the wisdom of a creator who first of all had the sense of beauty to do it, and then the technical ability to realize it. And I'm filled with wonder as I look around nature round about me to see how God technically did it and realized the beauty of his own soul in doing it. The scripture teaches perfectly plainly, and it fits in with my science perfectly well, that the one who did that called himself the Logos, and that Logos was Jesus. Jesus called himself the Creator who made everything for him and by him. Now, if that's the case, then I'm very happy and filled with joy that he made the creation so beautiful, and that he also valued me enough to die for me to become my Redeemer as well.